Honorable Prorector, Research, Innovation and Commercialization, Dr. Rizwan Riaz, distinguished guest speakers, panelists, faculty members, and dear students, Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning. I'm Maryam Akmal, Manager Placements at NUST Placement Office, and I'm pleased to welcome you all at Day 2 of Partnership for Climate Action, organized in collaboration with German Corporation, GIZ Pakistan, German Red Cross, International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, Pakistan Red Crescent Society, and International Rescue Committee and WHH. Ladies and gentlemen, yesterday we had an amazing session for youth in climate action, and today we bring our focus towards academia and building partnership for research and innovation in climate change. Ladies and gentlemen, we will begin our program with the recitation of Holy Quran.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق
पढ़िए अपने रब के नाम के साथ जिसने पैदा किया।
خلق الإنسان من علق
उसने इंसान को अलग से तख्लीक किया।
اقرأ وربك الأكرम
पढ़िए और आपका रब बड़ी इज्जत वाला है।
الذي علم بالقلم
जिसने कलम के जरिए से इल्म सिखाया।
علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم
इंसान को वो इल्म दिया जिसे वो जानता न था।
صدق الله العظيم.
Jazakallah. Now I would like to invite Honorable Prorector, Research, Innovation and Commercialization, Dr. Rizwan Riaz, to kindly deliver a welcome note. Ladies and gentlemen, Prorector RIC.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning. Welcome to the Partnership for Climate Action program, the 3-day event that we are hosting at NUST, trying to make this very important topic part of our flagship campaign of this year. So I believe day 2, the young people have already done their work and hopefully solved the climate thing already yesterday. And today we are going to hear from the experts. And of course, the young people have done everything before the experts, so we don't really need any expert opinion when we are young, right? So what we want to do is combine the strengths of experience and the energy of youth and hopefully come up with some ideas and some solutions that we can pitch to the government, to ourselves, and to the society at large and solve this critical issue that has already started to affect Pakistan in some of the worst ways in the world. This is not only an important event from an academic and research point of view, which is our bread and butter as a university, but is also aimed to put NUST on the map as a leader in this kind of work. The multidisciplinary strength that we have at NUST should be able to address any problem. So why not climate change? But this is also an opportunity for us to partner with very many different organizations, universities, people who have the expertise, who have the experience, and who have the energy and strength in these areas. Because none of this is going to be done by one person or one organization or one expert, and none of this is going to affect one person or one organization or one country. The climate is not going to wait at the border for a visa approval, and the climate change and the impact that it's going to have on our lives can start somewhere way out there and create a disaster in your country. So we all have to get together, and I'm very, very glad to have international partners with us, national partners with us, and from the energy that I saw yesterday in the youth forum, I'm very glad to see that the young people are actually taking it far more seriously than our generation. And that is exactly what we need. In a country with about 60% young people, you are the guys who have to solve this problem. We are the ones who had to create it. We created them for you successfully. Now you guys have to solve it. And solve it you will, inshallah, because you have the brains, the energy, and hopefully the passion to do it. So let's start the event for today. Let's hear all the specialist talks, the keynote speeches for today. I've seen the lineup. It's very, very impressive. So hopefully we will find out the expert opinion on this matter. And hopefully by tomorrow, we will have some kind of an idea of where to take this program as a starting point for NUST and a starting point for Pakistan in terms of actions that we can do, especially in partnership. That's the whole theme. This has to be a partnership. So hopefully we will develop that kind of a roadmap by tomorrow. So thank you very much all for coming. Please participate and please come up with ideas after today's and tomorrow's events. And don't stop thinking about it once the conference ends. This has to be a continuing process, and we will continue to have smaller and larger events throughout the year to focus on the different SDGs and especially the climate area. So thank you very much all, and I'm really grateful for our foreign friends and our partners for joining us in this event and the keynote speakers, the experts who are going to be speaking today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to invite the Secretary General, Pakistan Red Crescent Society, Mr. Ubaidullah, for his keynote address. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ubaidullah Khan has been managing and supervising all major operations of PRCS for the last 22 years. His areas of expertise revolve around disaster management, project management, capacity building, youth and volunteers management, and stakeholders coordination. Sir, please.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Pakistan Red Crescent Society, it is a great honor for me and my organization to be part of this event. And I must congratulate NUST for organizing this 3 days sessions. And our team here will be participating in all 3 days in all the set activities we have been in the agendas. And I'm thankful, Dr. Rizwan Saab, for your welcoming PRCS, as you mentioned about the partnerships. Just to apprise the audience that Pakistan Red Crescent has already have an MOU with NUST, and likewise other research and academias and government partner as well. It's not only the matter of research you rightly mentioned, but it's more is how we can play a role and contribute in the overall action points in the overall umbrella, not as a single organization, but we have to contribute since we have the climate ministry as well, we have the climate action plan as well. So we have everybody, irrespective, it is a humanitarian organization or it is academia, we have to play our role into this overall national plan under our respective capacities and the mandate. And just I will take few minutes. I have few points to just share for the students. They must be knowing and they must be studying as a student of the research and on the climate change subject. And I see in the agenda there are different organizations who have been participating in this as well. So this collaboration and exchange of ideas among different stakeholders can lead to more effective and impactful solutions. As we know that the industrial revolution has greatly disrupted the natural environment due to the burning of the fossil oil and coal oil gases. And this has significantly led to the pollutions, contaminated water we have been facing in daily life and the bodies and the soils. So, because of this, all human activities and the Mother Earth has experienced, I would name few, and there are many, but not limited to this. What I have been speaking right now is the global warming is one of the major impact we have been facing and confronting in our daily lives. And the average temperature of the Earth has risen to 1.1 Celsius since 19th century. So that is an alarming thing. We have to, being a student, we have to see how we can address in our future kind of activities. Ozone depletion is one of the effects, as most of the famous ozone layer over the Antarctica that has grown to size of 20.8 million square kilometers in 2020 is one of the result of this climate change and increased risk in the skin diseases. According to the WHO, skin cancer is the most common type of cancer in the world, within the estimated 5 million people in every year been growing in this kind of diseases. Rising maximum and minimum temperatures, I had mentioned already. Rising sea levels and the higher ocean temperatures, sea levels have been risen by about 8 inches since 1880, and this is almost rise most part in the last 25 years. So I'm just putting up few facts and figures just to apprise and update the audience here that increasing in the aridity and the drought is one of the cause of this climate change and the global warming effect. According to the IPCC, International Intergovernment Panel and the Climate Change, the area affected drought has increased globally about 1.5% decade over the last 50 years, and decline in the erratic sea ice snow covered the glaciers. That is cause of the flooding we have been experiencing in our northern areas in almost every monsoon season, other than the precipitation of the monsoon effects as well. And due to these impact, the world has seen negative effects in the every country, but the extent of these effects varies from country to country. And Pakistan is one of the top most 10 most countries. I think is seven of the scale which has been affected by the climate-induced disasters. The latest example we have witnessed last year in July, August 2022, where we have seen the unprecedented kind of flooding, where almost one third of the country have been inundated with the waters, and 33 million people have been affected at that time, and that is alarming. That is, we're still facing that effects of that disaster. We had that kind of disaster in 2010 floods. The precipitation patterns have been changed, the monsoon patterns have been changed, weathers have been changed just due to this climate change effect. Though, as a country, our contribution, if you can see, to the overall the emission of the gas, this climate change is very less, as maybe less than 1% of the overall contribution. But the intent and the intent of the damages we have been facing is more than more than what we have expected. We are still in the phase of disaster response. We are in the phase of the rehabilitation for the 2022 floods, care of the at least 20 million people for the rehabilitation and the recovery activities now we are planning as an humanitarian organization. So, and yes, the good thing as a leaders we have done after this flood is the participation in the COP conference, they recently held into 2022. And with the leaders have agreed, at least we have a very good forum there, and Pakistan, government of Pakistan has participated there. PRCS has also been there, part of the panels, and ultimately the achievement, I would say, is the creation of this fund for the developing nations affected by the climate change. I hope that will affect in the coming years, coming days. how we can best take advantage of that fund for our preparedness actions against the climate change kind of effects. At the 2024, Pakistan made a significant achievement through its efforts in establishing loss and damage fund, as I mentioned, and developing countries have been seeking now the opportunity, the completion of loss and damage caused by the impact of the extreme weather events for almost 3 decades. Dear climate activist, the Pakistan as a Red Cross Red Crescent movement, I just touched upon, Pakistan Red Crescent is a part of the Red Cross Red Crescent movement. We have two components. One is the auxiliary role. What we do is we have been founded, we created through Act of Parliament, through Red Cross Order. Qaid Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah was our founding president in 1920 December 1947, and we are the auxiliary body of the government. We are not the government organization. We are not the NGO or INGO. We are the humanitarian organization working through the fundamental principle of the Red Cross Red Crescent movement. And that movement, we have two main players other than the National Society, the International Federation, who is the secretariat organizations based in Geneva headquarters, but we have the 192 countries set up across the world. And second is the International Committee of Red Cross, that is the mother organization of this movement globe. So that is the definition of the Red Cross Red Crescent movement. And yes, the Red Cross movement through this, about this climate change, how we are performing our role in this. We have been the Red Cross Red Crescent movement endeavors to assist the member national societies, as I mentioned, about 250 million people annually. We have reaching with the services aimed at the adapting the effects of the climate change. So we have different programs with different partner national societies. In Pakistan Red Crescent, we have this German Red Cross. They have supporting us in climate unit we have, and we have been coordinating with our government partners as well. And we have certain role at the macro and the meso and the micro level. But we have not yet started the community level interventions. But at least we have been doing things, because this is the new things for last 5 years back. So we have been at the stage of the policy making and the strategy development, and likewise such kind of activities. Yes, this. By working directly in the communities before, during, and after disaster, Red Cross Red Crescent has undertaken what is required to address the climate crisis, support communities, and preparing themselves. It's more important the awareness and the advocacy role we have been doing right now. The Pakistan Red Crescent Society, as a member of the Red Cross movement, is actively involved in the climate change related activities with the global, with the goal of the promoting environmental and the conscientious interventions. Yes, we have climate change unit in the in the Netherlands as well, with the Red Cross Society. We have been doing with them different kind of activities. Yes, just to apprise on the what so far activities we have done. We have been engaged in the project climate change and have collaborating with our movement partners and addressing certain kind of issues. We have close coordination with different universities, and MOUs have been signed, like NUST is one of the university we have signed an MOU. We maintain close collaboration with the various universities and have signed MOUs with the University of Sawat, University of Chitral, Bahria University, Karachi University, and many more. So these have been with the academia. We have kind of collaboration other than the government activity, government and other stakeholders as well. And we know the universities and research institutions carry out studies in the various fields such as the earth science and different kind of ecology and other kind of sustainability to better understand and cause of the impact and the climate change. And yes, last but not least, academia plays a critical role in the conducting research, obviously providing scientific knowledge, such kind of platforms, educating future leaders, as rightly mentioned by the Rizwan Saab, which you are the leaders for future, and we have been expecting from you for the different and the practical and the pragmatic kind of solutions, how we can address and contribute to the whatever extent we can for the effects, how to minimize the effect of the climate change, and especially for Pakistan uh, as a nation. Yes, rising awareness and advocacy we have been doing. So let us accept this challenge and with determination, knowing that the future of our planet and all in inhabitant rest in our hands. And let us work together to create better world for future generations, a world in which we live in harmony with nature and ensure sustainable future ahead. Dear audience, keep up efforts to influence policymakers, aware the public, take care for surrounding and adapt themselves according to the climate changing scenarios. Keep up your efforts to educate and public to reduce individual carbon footprints and promote the culture of peace and harmony, reduce, reuse, and recycles. So together we can do all these kind of activities. So once again, thank you very much for inviting us. And this is not one of the activity we have been participating. It has to be a continuous series of activities. And under the partnership, I know for tomorrow we'll be signing an MOU, and there must be certain activities. It's not one side of organization with this kind of collaboration. So we, as a Red Cross, whenever we have such kind of research things required, we do accept the NUST to be also participating in that level of events. So see how together we can best contribute and best support the overall efforts of the government as individual capacity and also as a joint efforts. So thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you, Baidullah Sahab. Now I'd like to invite coordinator of the Pakistan-German Climate Energy Partnership of the Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, GAZ Germany, Mr. Christopher Wenzel, for his keynote speech. Sir, please.
Thank you very much. Distinguished Pro-Rector of NUST, Mr. Rizwan Rias, dear Dr. Hamoud Rahman, and dear Amira Adil, I don't see her, but she must be here somewhere. You worked hard for all this to happen. Dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, dear students, I'm very pleased to be able to join you today, and I indeed feel very privileged to deliver a few words, a few welcoming remarks on this occasion. As a matter of fact, I have served some 15 years now in international cooperation, and I was given quite some opportunity to address audiences. But I have to say, indeed, until now, I've never been given the opportunity to address people in such an impressive hall and under such impressive circumstances, and to address so many people who are eager to discuss and debate about an issue that I consider is no less than the decisive question of the future of mankind. We come here today and tomorrow to discuss climate change and partnerships. What does partnerships got to do with climate change? What role do they play? Why do we need to talk about this issue of partnerships? So allow me, with a few remarks I make in the next 5 to 8 minutes, to elaborate on my personal thoughts on why partnerships in climate change matter. Climate change is real. I know saying this, some of you, or maybe most of you, think get this fool off the stage. Of course, climate change is real, and I do not doubt that it's real. And I don't doubt that after all the disastrous events Pakistan and the Pakistani people had to go through in the past years, decades, when it comes to climate-induced events, that there's hardly anybody here who doubts that climate change is real. But believe it or not, I just recently came across a magazine, a publication, and it was in yellow press in Europe, featuring articles of scholars who try to give evidence that climate change is exaggerated, if not staged. There's a lot to say on that, and there's for sure tons of arguments that can be taken from the daily work of NUST and its faculties and researchers to convince these people that they're wrong. I would instead recommend these people to go out there, to go to the Swat Valley, to go to the Sindh province, and to see themselves. Look into the eyes of all those men, women, and children who lost everything, and maybe not for the first time, and tell them it's just politically exaggerated. Climate change is real, and climate change is man-made. Again, I guess this is no news to you. Again here, there's quite some talks that our globe, if you see it over the past millions of years, has gone through ice ages and global warmings, and this is no news. This might be true, yes, but I guess there's no doubt here that it is the way of mankind's way of living, human living of the past 100 years, in particular in the industrialized parts of this globe, that has significantly accelerated things and put us into the trouble we're all facing today. Climate change will not go away. Now, this is something that, according to my experience, seems to be surprising news to quite some people. When I talk to people, and I talk to a lot of people, when it comes, to the Conference of Parties and the whole discussion, we have to curb global warming to 1.5%, I sense there's the impression that if we manage to do so, it will just go away. It is not the case. This is all man-made, but mankind, with all its might and all our knowledge, we will not be able to make this go from today until tomorrow. We often refer to climate change as a megatrend, naming it alongside other things like population growth, urbanization, demographic pressures, and the like. I'd rather call it the new normal. New normal because it differs from all other megatrends in that it affects us all, each and everyone around the globe. The pro-rector was referring to a visa regime that should be imposed, maybe. I wish I could support that, and I would opt for 100% of rejections of these kind of visa. But unfortunately, this will not happen. Some parts of the world are already heavily impacted. We have to experience, and you have to experience here in Pakistan. Others are still spared. But climate change is the new normal for each and everyone. Either you're affected today or not, it will affect you. And I might give a short example of a beautiful village in Germany, which is called the Ahr Valley. Beautiful, tiny valley. You may compare it to the Swat, a little bit smaller, nice weather, older people retiring there because of the nice air quality, decent infrastructure, lots of tourists going there because it's also quite a nice wine region. But nevertheless, until that very day in July 2021, when a little creek, I won't call it a river, a creek of 70 centimeters grew to 8.5 meters, washing away basically everything that was in its way, affecting a region that was deemed, within 8 minutes, a rescue team will be there. Unfortunately, even German authorities were not able to deploy rescue teams in the first couple of hours because of the force of this situation. So we all face the same sooner or later. So it will stay for generations, and we need to collectively find a way to deal with it. I did not come today to promote a doomsday scenario, of course. I would be wrong in development cooperation if I would do so. Mankind has a natural instinct for survival, and we do have the knowledge. And this is where I rarely quote politicians, but in this case, I do have to quote a former minister of mine who stated, "We have the knowledge, we have the means, and we need to act now." So what are we looking at when we talk about climate action? Who do we look at when We look at national governments, rightly so. We expect our governments to take informed, evidence-based decisions to foster adaptation to climate change, to protect the most vulnerable, to ease the burden in cases where climate-induced events hit our societies, and of course to contribute to the global efforts to keep global warming within a bearable scale. We count on science, our academia, our researchers to provide the needed models and technology that allows us to prepare and to adapt. I personally think that is one of our most striking strengths we should even more make use of when it comes to climate action. We may not be able to stop climate change from today until tomorrow, but we are very good in predicting, in developing models, in adapting and forecasting things with a certain likelihood, factoring in our own behavior, which is very important, I think. Putting more emphasis on this kind of analysis to prevent future events from not to prevent them from happening, but to be prepared, to know where it will strike with a certain likelihood and how we will be affected, will save a lot of lives in future, I'm convinced. In this regard, of course, we do not count only on our researchers, but also on our politicians to listen to the researchers and their evidence. We furthermore look at the system of international cooperation, again, rightly so. The way the world is unevenly affected by the consequences of climate change, the world is also quite heterogeneous when it comes to capabilities to deal with these consequences. Processes of international negotiations may widely be seen as slow, sometimes even ineffective. But to my personal conviction, they are indispensable and the only promising way to tackle the global challenges we're facing in a sustainable manner. If we look at the conference of the parties, or COP as we say, we saw the last one in Sharm el-Sheikh with mixed feelings, but it was actually Pakistan as a co-chair, and Pakistan's strong voice pushing the industrialized countries to not to give in, but to go on the path to set up a loss and damage fund. I think this shows how much weight a country like Pakistan has and can have in international negotiations. So it's still a way to go, but we're on a good way. And last but not least, we look, or we should look, into the mirror every day, asking ourselves, how does our behavior, or what does our behavior got to do with climate change? How can I contribute with my knowledge, with my voice, with my engagement to help address the challenges we're collectively facing, be it in my home, be it in my community, be it in my country? So why does my voice matter, and how can I make it matter? So also in this regard, I highly appreciate NUST's engagement. I would like to commend on your climate action plan that is going to be launched tomorrow, with all the efforts undertaken. The concept of converting NUST into a living lab, addressing all aspects of climate change within this microcosm, is very appealing and very convincing. As a #1 university here in Pakistan, NUST in shaping the future of generations, shaping the future of Pakistani society, and thus shaping the future of Pakistan. If this approach of NUST is as a living lab for climate change is pursued over the next 100 years and decades, maybe, I'm 100% convinced we will see a generation upcoming that is not only very knowledgeable, but also very well prepared to support us in our struggle to combat climate change. All these things are for sure the right things to look at, but all this would be in vain if we look at it separately. In international cooperation, we love the term of thinking in silos. To my personal liking, still today, there is too much waiting for or pointing at others. Our government has to act. You need to do that. And as I said, I'm convinced each and everyone has a role to play when it comes to climate action. So the crucial question is whether or when we will manage to bring all these things together, to make it a collective approach, integrate all voices and capacities to get to those synergies that are needed to create impact. And this is basically what I think why partnerships matter. This is what partnerships in climate action stand for. So today and tomorrow, we will go exactly that way. We will fill the partnership idea with life, and I'm very proud to represent the German corporation in that tomorrow, together with my colleagues. And we will tie another knot between NUST and Germany, as well as other ties between NUST and other partners. So I have to thank you very much, and I just want to climate change is real. Climate change is man-made. It will not vanish tomorrow, but it is us today and the future generations to come to tie new knots, to strengthen existing knots, to counter the challenges we are facing today and we will be facing collectively tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your kind words. Now I would like to request Pro-Rector RIC, Dr. Rizwan Riaz, to kindly come on stage and present shields and souvenirs to our worthy guests. Firstly, I would request Mr. Abedullah from PRCS to kindly collect his shield. Now I would request Mr. Christopher Wenzel to kindly collect his shield. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for a short break. I would request everyone to kindly proceed for the refreshments. And also, we have displayed our projects at stalls outside. It is requested to kindly visit them as well. Thank you. I hope we will be meeting after 20 minutes.